advice. Cash job problems. Hey, Billy, badass actor, cop Burr. Copper, I get it. Nice. I'm a carpenter from Newfoundland and work 50-plus hours a week for cash on the weekends. 50-plus hours a week for a cash on the weekends, occasionally with one of my old employers. What happened to the last half of that sentence, I'll never know. I've been working for cash with this company for about 2 years now and haven't had an issue with payment up to this point. Work is slow right now, and he informed me the other day that he could not pay me the money he owes me, $700. He said he could pay me in gas cards or he could buy tools from Home Depot and pay me with those because he can include that in the company expense. The problem with this is that my girlfriend of 4 years is now pissed off that I'm not getting paid. I couldn't care less as long as I get something for my work, and I love tools. So should I stand up to my old employer and tell him he has to pay me in cash, or should I tell my girlfriend to back off and mind her own business? Thanks. Love the podcast, and as always, go fuck yourself. P.S. You should really consider coming to Newfoundland to do a show. I think I did it a number of years ago. Or maybe I went to Halifax. Gaffigan was scheduled to come down here, but we had a record snowfall and he couldn't make it. 95 centimeters in one day. Not bad. Ha ha. I don't even know how much that is. Let's look that up so I can actually answer this question, even though this has nothing to do with it. I am now intrigued. 95 centimeters, 2 inches. 37 inches. You had 3 feet, 1 inch plus of snow. All right. Well, let me ask you this, dude. How the fuck are you going to pay your rent if you don't have legal tender? It's not like the old days where you can just trade, come into town with some eggs and a yak and trade that for to your landlord. You must have enough cash to pay your rent. If you have enough cash to pay your rent, I kind of like a man that's still around that will actually tell the woman in his life to back off and mind her own business. Although if she lives with you, it is kind of her business. So I don't know where to go on that. It's just great to hear a guy standing up to a woman at some point. By the way, I just want to commend all the feminist groups that fucking were shitting all over Johnny Depp for now admitting that you maybe jumped the gun and just supported somebody with little to no evidence just because, like you, they also had a vagina. I want to thank all you guys for then righting your wrongs and being big enough people to admit that you were wrong. Now, I've done it on this podcast where I realized that my petty shit about the officiating in the Super Bowl really came down to me and my ego and wanting to be right about my prediction. Now, when you're a feminist, your Super Bowl is arguments between men and women. And you know what? You got this one wrong, it looks like. You know? Where's all the retraction, ladies? That'll never happen. All right, screen time. Dear Billy Guardian, I agree with your stance on screen time for kids. I'm not naive enough to think that having some idea how to work technology is good for a kid. Just like video games weren't as bad as parents in the 80s thought they'd be. I don't know what the fuck I just read. I'm going to read this word for word. I agree with you stance on screen time for kids. I'm not naive enough to think that having some idea how to work technology is good for a kid. Just like video games weren't as bad as parents in the 80s thought they'd be. All right. This is what happens when you have too much screen time. This is how you put together sentences. The problem I'm having is with my wife. She doesn't seem interested in playing with our child one-on-one as much as I do, and it's disheartening. She's always turning to Netflix to babysit while she sits there on her phone. Yeah, you're dealing with a fucking screen addict. I think that that's a new thing that they haven't diagnosed yet. Our marriage is a bit strained for this and other reasons. I'm fairly convinced she's cheating on me. Whoa! Left turn. But I'm compartmentalizing this from from parenting to try and be fair. If we get divorced, I won't be there to see what's going on, and that bothers me. In the meantime, I wish there was some way to make her understand that the stimulation our kid gets from staring at screens while sitting 5 feet in front of her mother on the floor is not the same as sitting across from a child and talking and teaching. Any advice on how to get the message across? Yeah, there's studies out there that, on the internet that somebody gave me. I would just Google that and then show the adverse effects of it, especially with the developing mind. I am huge on like, we barely let our kid watch TV now. We never really let it get too out of hand, and the more I read about it, we just sort of stopped doing it. And she had her favorite shows that she watches, and she whined about it for like a week and a half, and then, they're so young they forget about it. And now we, she draws, she colors, she takes French classes. She actually understands French when the lady talks to her. It's fucking amazing. We do puzzles. We ride bikes. She knows she's learned almost totally knows how to swim now. I think all of that stuff, as much as you're worried that they're going to get behind in computers of the future and all of that shit, with the skills that they're learning, not being involved in this stuff, they're going to be fine. And there has to be, people who are aware of this stuff, and they also know that computers are here to stay. There also has to be some sort of quality ways to have screen time that involves teaching, and not like, because I was just noticing, like, when my kid would be watching TV and I'd be calling her and calling her and calling her and calling, I'd have to say it like 5 times. They just get like fucking zoned out. It's not good. And I watched a ton of TV, and I think I have, some sort of side effect from that. I may lack of ability to focus or whatever. I don't know. I feel bad for you, dude. You're in a real tough position because if you were a woman, you could go to court and present all of that, and you would win custody. But they do not treat guys fairly in those cases whatsoever. So I would, that's a fucking tough one, man. It's time to open that dialogue that when you're in a relationship with a woman and the woman is doing shit that's detrimental to your kid, like, there has to be avenues for a man to fucking turn to. And there just really isn't. And the blind support that women have for other women, for the most part, straight across the board, is really detrimental to the kid. That whole fucking philosophy that believe women is like so horrendously flawed. Because if to say that, you're just saying that then that men are flawed and women aren't. If you're just straight across the board going to do that. And then bully and intimidate people by threatening to take away their careers unless they agree with you, is just fucking, it's just not a good thing. It's not an adult thing. It's not a mature way to go about solving a fucking problem. And I feel like emotions have come down enough where, you can actually maybe start talking about that shit. But I feel really bad for you, dude, because I've had disagreements with my wife about that stuff, and people are flawed, as am I. And like, we had this amazing breakthrough with my anger now. Like, my kid is like my fucking life coach now. She literally sits there and be like, Dad, don't yell. It's going to be okay. She literally says that to me, and I crack up laughing, and I go, you're right, it is. I'm sorry. And then she laughs, and I've made this major breakthrough in my family tree of dysfunction, where now my anger that I learned or whatever is open for discussion, and we can laugh about it. My kid is not even remotely afraid of me or anything. All the shit that I had growing up, with the adults in my life, has completely imploded, and it's all on the table. Now, I still have the anger issues that I have to work through. But like the fact that right as I get going, she says, you know, Dad, don't yell. And I just stop now. You know, I can't, there's just no way. I can't continue when I hear that voice say that. So it's this weird thing where I still, now instead of snapping, I start to snap. And if I really feel that I have to get it out of me, I just leave the house and I just go out into the garage and I just go play drums or something. I almost need to have like the Frank Murphy heavy bag to hit it sometimes. But, you know, it's been this amazing, you know, of all the gifts that becoming a dad has been for me, the fact that she's actually helping the part of myself that I hate the most has just been this ridiculous cherry on top. So anyway,